Raider Nation, if you believe that this fan base deserves better, I just want you simply to type better down in the comments. I know for a fact a lot of y'all spend a lot of time, money, years rooting on this team, and the effort that was put on the field yesterday against New Orleans is just downright despicable. So if you believe that the nation deserves better, spam better. You're going to have a hell of a time on today's show. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Today's show is presented by Manscaped. If you're trying to score more than the Raiders, then I suggest you go to manscaped.com/Raiders and use promo code Raiders at checkout to save 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at Overreaction Monday. I've done this Overreaction Monday after Raiders lost 5 times this year. This will be my 5th. This is going to be the one that gets the most Raider fans upset. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you're a Josh McDaniels fan, if you're a Derek Carr fan, you might just want to turn this thing off right now. So let's get into some of these overreactions. The Raiders just flat out quit versus the Saints. I'm talking both sides of the football, everyone quit. It's 4 just win babies, believe it, baby. That has to be the only explanation. There's no way that a team that does have talent, like let's not get it twisted, the Raiders do have talent on the offensive side of the football, and they have some talent on the defensive side of the football. For the effort that was put out there, that's going to go up there with some of the games that we've seen in years past. The 43-6 Atlanta game, the 34-3 Jets game. I'm not going to say it's a 52-0 against the Rams, but it's up there, man. This Raiders team flat out quit. That was one of the most embarrassing games that I have ever seen an NFL team put forth on the field. To me, the team either quit on your quarterback, Derek Carr, or the team quit on Josh McDaniels. To me, the way that I look at a lot of teams is a lot of times teams take on the personality of your leaders. If your leader is Josh McDaniels, who's a spineless POS as far as I'm concerned, and then Derek Carr's about as soft as Kleenex tissues, your team is going to take on that personality, which is what you saw this past week. A team that the Saints are not better than the Raiders. They were just more physical. I had to watch Josh McDaniels look like a sad puppy all game who got his toy stolen. He was acting like a child on the sidelines who wasn't getting a toy at a store that you wanted your parents to get you. Josh McDaniels struggles because he overcomplicates the simple, and when things don't go his way, he pouts like a little baby. And then Derek Carr, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is a new house up for sale in New Orleans. Every single brick that came out of Derek Carr's asshole, because that dude literally could have built this house right here with all the bricks he was shitting. From start to finish, that entire game, Carr looked like he was seeing ghosts. I get it. I dressed up as Harley Quinn. Chugs dressed up as fat bearded dad. But Derek Carr was straight up seeing ghosts, and I'm not afraid to say it. The thing holding back this Raiders organization right now, you might be able to say it's the owner, Mark Davis, because it starts at the top. The 2 things holding back the Raiders right now, Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr, and until you make a change, we're just going to keep doing this thing over and over. So, who do you think that the Raiders team quit on? We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. Do you think it's Josh McDaniels, type JM? Do you think it's Derek Carr, type DC? Do you think it's both of them, type B? Me personally, I am going to type JM. Let's go to the next story here. Josh McDaniels needs to go. If you follow me on Twitter, if you listen to anything I've said, I've never been a Josh McDaniels fan. This one again, 4 just win babies, believe it, baby. I have wholeheartedly have always said the sooner you move on from McDaniels, the sooner the better. It's just, I can't watch him anymore. You're never going to win anything under McDaniels. Go back, listen to what old Broncos players had to say about him. Look at what he did against Indianapolis. He's never won when it hasn't been next to Bill Belichick, and he's never won when it hasn't been next to Tom Brady. You got a head coaching record of 13-22, 3 wins in your last 15 games. This dude runs a first-grade offense. I almost threw up yesterday when I saw a 3rd-and-1 end around with Davante Adams, which, by the way, why the hell are you running an end around with Davante Adams? That doesn't make any sense to me. And then a 4th-and-2 play, you run it with your backer, and the Saints knew what was happening. The amount of times on my watch party yesterday where Chugs and I were like, oh, here comes a screen to Amir Abdullah. Oh, here comes a play here. I shouldn't be able to predict what McDaniels is running. And we did it like 5 or 10 times yesterday in a game where the Raiders barely even ran 40 plays. Your starting offense didn't cross the 50-yard line. Let that sink in for a second. That is unbelievable. If touchdowns could have counted past the 50-yard line, you still lose by 24. That's the ultimate laughingstock I have ever seen. Now, here's the one thing. Raiders' offense was spooky yesterday. I don't want your downstairs looking spooky either. And luckily, Manscaped, they're going to try to hook you all up here. And I'll be point blank. I was upset when I got home last night. Manscaped kind of helped me cheer up a little bit. Shout out to Alex. Manscaped.com, though. Use promo code Raiders. That's going to get you 20% off and free shipping. The Raiders didn't score on Sunday. I hope that y'all score this week. For all the men, all the women out there watching right now, it doesn't need to be spooky down there. Make sure that your Ken Stabler is looking great. Manscaped.com, promo code Raiders, 20% off and free shipping. Get your hands on the best male grooming products out there. Let's continue to talk about how bad of a game plan McDaniels had. Here's a thought. If I had Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow had over 100 catches last season. Davante Adams is Davante Adams. Call me crazy. I would target them. It sounds like a crazy idea, I know. Instead, how about this? Instead, we're going to target Foster Moreau 9 times, Mac Hollins 8, Keelan Cole 5, Amir Abdullah 5. Oh, there's Davante Adams at 5. When you have Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow combined for 2 catches in a game, how does that make sense? I think these guys are good players. They're not Hunter Renfrow and Davante Adams. I have never seen Renfrow more lost and confused in an offense that I have ever seen watching Renfrow play from his days back at Clemson to his days with the Raiders. So imagine a head coach spending $344.5 million on 4 players. Derek Carr, Davante Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. I get it. Waller did not play. Okay, this has been a terrible investment. This has been a great player, but you didn't use him in a must-win football game, and Hunter Renfrow hasn't been getting any work the entire game. Somebody please make it make sense to me. You didn't spend all that money to not use your star players. They're the best players on your offense, and there are definitely times where Derek's going one read and just chucking it that way. I went back and I watched the film. There are 3 or 4 balls where Davante is wide open. Derek looks at him and then goes somewhere else. Or there's plays where Adams is wide open and he doesn't even look Adams' way. He throws it somewhere else. Or Hunter's running underneath pattern, and instead of going for the guaranteed 18 yards, he's going to throw one deep. I don't know how to defend DC, and I obviously can't defend McDaniels after what I watched yesterday. He just continues to show me that he cannot be a head coach. I don't think that me saying that says that he can't be an OC. There are certain people who can't be a head coach. He can manage how to run an offensive play. He cannot manage how to run an offense and how to manage a team. That team gave up on him this past week, and the offense he put out there is one of the most probably embarrassing things I've seen in the NFL in a long time. Let me make this very clear. The sooner you move on from Josh McDaniels, the better. And if you have that exact same thought, I want you to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because I'm going to do everything in my power to get this guy the hell out of Las Vegas. Now, I want y'all to be Mark Davis. What should the Raiders do with Josh McDaniels? Do you fire him or do you keep him? Because after that game, he had another long talk with Davis. I would love to know what the hell's in that conversation room, because there's no way that what you're talking about to me is going to fix anything. You want to fix something, you got to get rid of him. The unfortunate part is, though, when you listen to a lot of people around the league, it sounds like McDaniels and Ziegler, they're safe. Their jobs aren't going anywhere. I hope that they listen to the nation. Let's go to the next overreaction here after a 24-0 beatdown in New Orleans. Should Raider fans prepare themselves to move on from Derek Carr? You're going to see a lot of just win babies on screen, because you should. You need to start mentally preparing yourself right now. I get it. There's a lot of Carr truthers out there, and there's a lot of people that don't like DC. I like to believe that I am somewhere right in the middle. I try to play both sides of the fence. That's my job here as a Raiders Report host. But we got to be honest with ourselves, y'all. DC's holding back this Raiders offense. You need to find another quarterback in 2023, whether that be the draft, free agency, trade. Those are all options. You can still cut Derek and save $110.68 million next offseason. Now, sure, you got basically a 3-day window right after the Super Bowl to do that. I don't think Derek Carr is a quarterback that deserves to be cut. He still is good enough to start in the NFL, maybe on a potentially another team. However, that no trade clause is really going to bite you in the butt, because I'll tell you this right now, if I'm an NFL team, I'm not giving you a first-round pick for Derek Carr. Shit, I probably wouldn't give you a second or a third-round pick for him the way he's played this season with all these other tools. The fact that he's never been able to win anything as an entire NFL career. So for that reason, and also that no-trade clause, he's going to turn down some deals. That kind of puts you in a situation where, if I can save $110 million, guess what? That's probably what I would end up doing. So I'm telling you right now, do not be surprised if there's another quarterback for the Silver and Black next season. Look at these numbers for this year. If I were to tell you at the beginning of the season that Derek, with, again, the amount of talent that he has on the offense, with the offensive line, that they struggled a little bit yesterday in pass blocking and run blocking. But if I told you that DC was going to finish this season with 3,937 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions with Devontae Adams, what would y'all say to me? It's time to move on. That's what every single person would say. I laugh when people are like, oh, Derek's the top 5 quarterback. Derek's this. I told y'all, he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's a good quarterback. But this season, he's even regressed. You're looking at the worst year Derek has had since his rookie year in 2014. In terms of completion percentage, 24th. Yards this year, 19th. Touchdowns, tied for 17th. He's been sacked the 15th most times, and he's got a quarterback rating which is ranked 18th in the NFL. He's not even playing like a top half quarterback. He's playing like a bottom tier QB. So why are we sitting up here defending him? Last 14 regular season games, 3,321 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 5 fumbles. Like, those are 5 fumbles lost. That's not even counting the amount of fumbles that he's put on the ground. Derek Carr is holding back this Raiders offense right now, and the sooner y'all realize that, the sooner we can quit talking about this dude, because you can save a lot of money. Now, there is an option, which we'll get to here in a second, that maybe you don't need to move on from DC in 2023. If it was up to me, y'all kind of know where I stand on that. But you have to look at his contract, and the way that the Raiders structured it is actually very genius on Dave Ziegler's part. It's one of the reasons why I said in the offseason it's probably one of the best contracts I've seen. DC right now is making about $19 million, and when you look at a lot of the quarterback contracts out there, he's playing like a quarterback that deserves to make $19 million. Next season, though, if you can't win making 19 with this team, what makes me think that you're going to be able to win making 29, 40, 41? This is how much money you can save in the parentheses. It's pretty good, right? So here are your quarterback options in 2023 if it was up to me. If the Baltimore Ravens don't figure out a way to get Lamar Jackson back, you do everything in your power to get him. If the Cleveland Browns are going to give Deshaun Watson 5 years, $230 million guaranteed, if I'm an NFL team and Lamar hits free agency, 5 years, $300 million fully guaranteed. If I'm the Raiders, that's what you do. You got to get crazy. You got to get ballsy. But I honestly think that's what Lamar is going to ask for. It's going to be that crazy. You could also potentially sign Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Carr is a more talented quarterback than Garoppolo, but Garoppolo's a better leader. Garoppolo's at least got a set of nuts on him, and he probably uses Manscaped himself. He has shown time and time again that he doesn't need to be an incredible talent. He leads teams, and he wins football games. Your other option is you can draft a quarterback, let that quarterback learn behind DC for 1 year, or you just flat out draft a quarterback and cut Derek Carr. Those are your 4 options as it stands right now if I was running the Raiders. However, this show was built on the back of just diehard fans, man. Do you want DC to be the Raiders quarterback next season? I want you to type QB1 for yes, or you type nah for no. You let me know. Do you want Derek Carr to be the quarterback next season? If you thought the show was going to end there, not so fast. Raiders, they're just a soft football team. 4 just win, baby heads. Are you catching a theme here? The Raiders, I am so upset and frustrated with them. I'm like an angry parent. But they were getting beat up on the interior offensive line. That defensive line effort that I saw yesterday, the defensive tackles, this might surprise you. Their defensive tackles need a lot of help, and they need depth. It's almost like we've been saying that for months. But it's okay. McDaniels and Ziegler are saying, don't worry about it. Don't be a couch GM. There's a lot of couch GMs out there that are saying that your defensive tackle room sucks, and Alvin Kamara laughed to 3 total touchdowns yesterday. The season is over. That's the next overreaction. It's not over yet, and I almost want to just put a clown mask on right now. I want to put a clown mask over my face because I'm going to convince myself that the season's not over yet. It's 2 just win babies. People are definitely talking about it, and people deserve to talk about it because you're not going to win another game if you play the way that you did up against New Orleans. But the games that I saw against Denver, the Chiefs, those are teams that you should be able to beat. That Chiefs game was one of the better games the Raiders played. They just didn't close it out. However, if you want to look at the numbers here, the season is technically not over. According to the New York Times, the Raiders right now have a 17% chance to make the playoffs. So you're saying there's a chance. Am I a clown for believing? Maybe I am. Maybe I am. Or maybe I'm just loyal, dedicated. I don't know. You all come up with it. Final thing here is Las Vegas needs to be active at the NFL trade deadline. It's 4 just win babies, believe it, baby. Whether you're going to be a buyer or whether you are going to be a seller, this team has to be active. You need a change. Something has to happen. Now, this is going to upset some people because I'm going to show you the Raiders trade candidates, and I'm not saying that these are the players I would trade away. These are the players that I believe have the most trade value and are the most realistic players of being dealt. Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Foss Moreau, Denzel Perriman, Cleveland Ferrell, Jonathan Abram, John Simpson, Malcolm Kuntz. None of these players were drafted, signed by the Raiders. Yes, Waller got an extension, but when you look at the nitty-gritty of that contract, you can move on from it. Jacobs already had his 5th-year option turned down, has by far the most value. Foss Moreau, Denzel Perriman, Cleveland Ferrell, Jonathan Abram, John Simpson, all going to be free agents. And Malcolm Kuntz really isn't getting all that much playing time. So as far as I'm concerned, all of these players are possible trade candidates. In terms of who are some players that the Raiders should go out and get, I've done a Raiders trade target video. You can check it out on the channel. Again, hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/Raidersport. But in terms of positions that they should target, defensive tackle, edge rusher better be your top 2. Then you got to go out and get a cornerback because Anthony Averett, I don't know if it's the hair or what it is. Anthony Averett's starting to look a lot like Damon Arnett out there, giving up a lot of yards because he's been bad since he's come back. And then after you do that, I'd go out and get another defensive end and another defensive tackle because you have the worst front in the NFL right now with Max Crosby. Max gives his all every play. If you didn't have Max, it might be one of the worst defensive lines in a while. But you know what? The Raiders did just have a 13-sack season just 2 years ago. That's how bad this team has been up front. So what do you think, guys? The Raiders, buyers or sellers? What should they be at the NFL trade deadline? Again, that's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be live tomorrow with Jeremy Chuggs. Also, Chat Sports is going to be live, so don't miss anything. I saw a report come out from a company called Sidelines, and they sent me an email, and they were talking about ticket prices. One of the reasons why I don't think that the Raiders can be sellers is because if Mark Davis wants to keep on having these high prices to get some money back from Allegiant, then you can't really just tank because people aren't going to go. But here's the other issue that you have. The other reason why you got to be a buyer is because why is a fan base going to buy tickets when the Las Vegas Raiders top the list as the most expensive NFL team to follow with a total of $273.47, so $273 per person at a game. The Raiders have the highest average ticket price at $153. You got to pay $100 to park. Hell, if you want a freaking hot dog at Allegiant Stadium, it costs $8. I went around, I looked at a lot of other NFL teams out there. You can buy a hot dog at Houston for $2. You can go to a lot of other NFL games. All I'm saying is between the flight prices, the hotel, it's like a $2,000 weekend to watch that performance? Get out of here. You better be a buyer, or else Mark Davis is going to lose money. And as far as I'm concerned, Mark doesn't want to lose money. So, Mark, talk to your quarterback, talk to your head coach. Raider Nation's here waiting, and I know we're going to be loud down in those comments. So, hopefully, you actually listen to us for once.